Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you are welcome. Today we'll be making these trendy shorts with side pockets and fly zipper. I'll be folding my fabric into two. So to get your fold for these measurements, you're going to divide your lap into two, and whatever you have, you're going to add 1 inch. Mine is 23 and divided by 2, I have 11.5 plus 1 inch, that's 12.5. This is the front part. I'll go ahead to draw my starting line. I'll go ahead now to take my measurements, but I'll be minusing 2 inches for my band, and from that 2 inches, I will take my full length measurements. The length I'll be working with is 18 inches, but I will also add 1 inch for my folding allowance. So in total, I'll have 19 inches for this short. I'll be taking my hip and my crouch measurements. To get my crouch depth, I will divide my hip into 2 plus 1 inch. And for my hip line, I will go up by 2 inch to get my hip line. So let me go over it again. My hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch. That's my crouch depth. Then I will go up from my crouch depth by 2 inches, and that will be my hip line. And that's the two line I have here. So I will extend the lines. I'll go ahead to label it my hip line, my crouch line, and my full length. So go ahead now to take your hip measurements. You will take what you have at your hip measurements down to your crouch and also extend it to your waistline, and go ahead and join the lines together. So to get your crouch extension, I have two ways of doing this. You can either divide your lap into 2 plus 1 inch, and I have 12.5. So I'll place my tape like so and mark what I have. Or you can divide your hip into 4. Whatever you have, still divide it again by 4 again, and you will get your crouch extension. So I'll go up by 1 inch and I'll connect my lines. So for the full length, I will take what I have at the crouch line and I'll minus 1 inch, and whatever I have, that is what I'll be marking on my full length. And I am sorry my camera did not capture this, but just follow what I am doing and you will get it perfect. And this is what our front part is looking like. So I'll go ahead now and cut it out. And so for the back parts, I will take one of the piece from the front and I'll place it like so, making sure to leave some allowance at the top and at the crotch line sides. I'll be extending the back crouch by 3 inches. I'll come down on the full length and I'll mark 2 inches. On the hip line, I'll also mark 2 inches. On my waistline, I will also mark 2 inches. So I only take 3 inches at the crouch area and the rest is just 2 inches. So I'll go ahead right now to extend my lines like so. On my waistline, I will go up by 1 inch and I will slant it like so. I'm slanting it to meet the other side of the waistline. I'm going ahead to join my other lines. We'll be making use of this pattern paper to draft out our fly zipper. So for the length, it's going to be 8 inches and the width is going to be 2 inches. So I'll be tracing my 2 inches down to the 8 inches that I have earlier, and I will connect it with a straight line like so. After I have connected my line, I will come up by 1 inch like this and I will curve it out like so. I'll go ahead now to cut my zip shield, and I'll be cutting exactly 8 inches, but this time around it's not going to have the curve like the zipper flyer. When cutting this out on my fabric, for the zipper shield I'll be folding it into 2 when cutting it out on my fabric. For the zipper flyer, I'll be cutting it exactly how I cut it on my pattern paper. So this is what it's looking like, my zip shield and my zip flyer. I have gone ahead to cut my zip flyer on my fabric, and now I'll be cutting my zip shield, and like I said earlier, I'll be folding it into 2 like so before cutting it out on my fabric. Don't forget to add half an inch when cutting this on your fabric. I'm going ahead now to cut my pockets. For the width, I'll be going with 7 inches and the length is 11 inches. I'll go ahead to cut it out, and I'll be having this in 2 pieces. I'll have like 2 of these pockets. So for the front part, remember we have 8 inches for the zip flyer. The zip I have with me is on a long side, but that doesn't matter because I'll be trimming it at the end of this. But I'll be marking my 8 inches, and from the 8 inches I will close up my crouch depth, and I'll be closing it up by half an inch. I will take it over to my machine to sew it, and I'll be right back to show you guys what I have. Now this is what our front part is looking like. I have gone ahead to close up the crouch depth, and this is what we have right now. So I'll be going ahead now to attach my zip flyer. I'll be facing my zip flyer front facing front, and I will go ahead to sew it up like so. So this is what it's looking like. I have also gone ahead to top stitch. I'll be going ahead to place my zip, and I'll sew it down to where the fly zipper ends, and I'll be right back. After stitching it down, this is what I have right now. I'm so sorry, I didn't know that my hand was blocking my camera. But what I did here was just to flip my zip inside. I mean to flip the zip with the zipper flyer that we have already sewn. I flipped the 2 inside, and that's basically what I did here. I will be using the chalk to trace out where I will be sewing, and this will serve as a guideline. So as we can see, I have gone ahead to sew what I have traced out, and this is what our fly zipper is looking like. I also went ahead to give it a nice press. I'll be working on my zip shield right now, and at this point I noticed that it's kind of big, so I trimmed it a little. I'll place my zip shield under like this, and I'll take the other side of the zip, place it on my zip shield like so. Please just watch what I'm doing, because at this point this is very difficult for me to explain, but I'll be doing it like so. Place my zip on my zip shield and bring the other side of the front and fold it inside and run a stitch on them. And at this point we have 3. We have this zip shield, we have the zip, and we have the other side of the front part. So we'll be stitching the 3 of them down together like so. After stitching them down, this is what I have. I have gone ahead to give it a nice press. I'll be working on my back part, and I'll be stitching down the crouch by half an inch, and I'll show you guys what I have. I'm going ahead now to attach my pocket. From the waistline, I'll be coming down by half an inch. I'll be placing my pocket starting from that half an inch that I marked from the waistline. And this half an inch, we'll be using it to attach our band. That's why we took it. I'll go ahead to mark 7 inches, and that's where I want my pocket opening to stop. I'll pin it down and go over to my sewing machine to secure it down with a stitch. After sewing it down, this is what it's looking like, and I went ahead to top stitch it, and I did the same at the other side. I'll be flipping the pockets like this, and I will make sure I have 1 inch left at the side of the pocket, so I can be able to attach my bag to the pocket. So I have my back piece on my front piece, and I'll be attaching the back to the pockets. So the 1 inch that I left at the pocket side, I'll be using it to attach the back piece of the back to the pocket, like to the 1 piece I left in the pocket area. I'll go ahead to pin it down, and when pinning it down, I'll be pushing in the front, as in the front part. I'll be pushing it inside, and I will just be pinning down the back piece with the pockets. And when I get to the 7 inches I mark for my pocket opening, that is when I will start attaching the front to the back piece together. And when I get to this part, I will close up my pockets like so. So this is what we have after stitching down our pockets, and I will go ahead to flip it over so we'll see what we have right now. You remember when we were stitching it, we didn't attach the front part, so now we'll be attaching the front part to the waistline. So I'll go ahead now to attach the front part. From that 1/2 inch that we left earlier, I'll be attaching it to the waistline. I have gone ahead to attach it to my waistline, and this is what we have now. I'll go ahead to trim off the excess that I have at the zipper side, and I will join down my crotch. I will be joining it with 1/2 inch. So after that, I'll be taking in our pleats. We know that these shorts have pleats at the front side, so I'll be taking in my pleats, and I'll be taking 4 inches from my zip area. From the place I have my zip, I will take 4 inches. I want to have 2 pleats in the front for this my shorts. I want it to be 2 pleats, so I'll be taking 4 inches from the zip area, and from that 4 inches, I will still go out by 1.5 inch, and I will take my other pleats. And for my back as well, I will be taking 2 pleats, and I'll be taking 4 inches from my crotch. From my crotch area, I will take 4 inches outward. And after stitching down my pleats, this is what I have. I have 2 pleats at the front and 2 pleats at the back. And this is what our pocket area is looking like. As we can see, we are almost done with this part. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead now to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so that whenever I post new videos like this, you will be the first to see it. I have gone ahead to stitch down my pocket at the waist area, and this is what we have. I'll go ahead now to take my round waist, and whatever I have, I will use it to cut out my band. So this is me trying to show us how my back plate is looking like. So I've gone ahead to cut out my band. On one side of my band, I added a stay to it on just one side of it, and I also went ahead to iron 1/2 inch, and this 1/2 inch is what we'll be using to cover up the rough edges at the waistline after we must have sewn our band. So I'll be placing my band like so, leaving that 1/2 inch that we'll be using to cover up the rough edges. I will leave it, and I will come down by 1/2 inch again, and I will stitch it down like so. I'll go over to my sewing machine to sew it down and flip it, and I will show you guys what I have. So I am done sewing it, and this is what I have. I'll go ahead now to flip it inside out, and this is exactly what we have for our band. So from this second 1/2 inch that we left, I will now place it like so on my zip, right side facing right, and I will sew it round. After sewing it round, this is what I have. I will go ahead now to use the other side that I ironed, and I'll use it to cover up the excess, the rough edges at the waistline. I am done sewing it round, and I'll go ahead to add button at that top area so as to hold it together. This is how the inside of our waist is looking like. As you can see, it's so neat, and we use the 1/2 inch to cover out the rough edges, and it's looking out so perfect. For this down part, I'll be using 1 inch to fold it, and I'll sew it round together like so. For the belt holder, I use 1 inch and I folded it to create a belt hold, and I'll be attaching it on top of my waistband, and this is how it's looking like. I have just 3 belt hold, but you can create as much as you want, but I made use of 3, and this is the end of this video. If you have watched up to this point, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video, and of course I will see you again in the next one. Bye.